Good morning. My name is Eric Francis Coppolino, and welcome to Volume 1, Number 1 of the Planet Waves TV podcast. I am taking the when in doubt, keep it simple approach. I'm here in my breakfast haunt, a place called Outdated Cafe in Kingston, New York. It is Saturday morning, March 7th. It is the day of the Sun-Chiron conjunction, and I'm here somewhat reluctantly doing video. I'm not really good at video. I don't really like video that much. I've had some smashing successes at video, and I'm here just to give it a try. So I have a grand total of no technique. I'm really good at radio. TV is kind of weird because all you're really going to do is stare at my face, but let's call it good. I'm here at Outdated Cafe, as I mentioned, and this is right downstairs from Chronogram magazine. This is the current issue, the March 2014 issue. I've been writing the horoscope in Chronogram for 20 years. Well, it'll be 20 years at the end of 2015. And so I've done a lot of astrology right around here in this neighborhood, and it's a fun thing to do. It's a fun way to reach out to people, and I'm going to just start today with a little summary of today's astrology, since it does qualify as an interesting day, that day being the day that the Sun is conjunct Chiron. And what do you say does that mean? It means that there's a slow-moving planet that was discovered in 1977, and I think that in many ways is the saving grace of astrology. Up until the early 80s, really, astrology was kind of well, I call it the groovy astrology phase, like kind of the hippie, what's your sign phase of astrology, rather than the way that sometimes astrology is thought of now, which is a more serious, either healing pursuit or intellectual pursuit. Though, of course, not everywhere is it thought of that way, but in some places it is. And the truth is that really, before the discovery and the use of Chiron, it was not considered that. So what we basically get with Chiron is what you might think of as the holistic principle. Chiron is the patron saint of anyone who is a hands-on healer or anyone who is a practitioner in methods that require a holistic concept of what a person is. And Chiron's now in Pisces, and so that gives a concept of holistic in a cosmic sense as well as in a material or practical or kind of like physical world sense. Pisces always takes you beyond the physical world, and Chiron moves slowly. It's taking about 9 years to go through Pisces. The Sun moves quickly. It takes 1 month to go through Pisces, and today is the day that the Sun and Chiron line up, and that is called the Sun-Chiron conjunction. It is interesting, this is happening on the 50th anniversary of the massacre at Selma, Alabama, when a bunch of peaceful protesters were basically attacked by Governor George Wallace. And it's interesting because I think in part because President Obama is speaking there, and here we have our first black president, and he is returning to Selma where this horrific thing happened on the day that the Sun is conjunct Chiron. And the Sun conjunct Chiron, from the standpoint of a president, I'll talk about it in a moment from the standpoint of, like, us regular people, but from the standpoint of a president, it can suggest the debility that Obama has as a black president and the way that he's treated as the first black president in a country that really still has some pretty serious racial problems that we're seeing if we look. And there's something that there's always something racial or ancestral about Chiron, and I think part of that comes from the imagery of Chiron being the half-human, half-horse critter, the first of those critters. There were many of them, but Chiron was the first one and the wise one and the one who was not violent, the one who was committed to being a teacher, a mentor, and a healer. And so we get something of Obama, the mentor, Obama, the person who is willing to venture into dangerous territory. And I hope they're very careful today in Selma when he is speaking there, because there's all kinds of racist lunatics out there. Now, from the standpoint of us folks down here having an experience, the way that I would sum up an experience of Chiron conjunct the Sun in kind of mortal terms, not these grand historic terms, what we get with Sun conjunct Chiron is two possibilities. One is that it's describing a sense of exaggeration of your problems. Chiron can have that nagging feeling of, I've got to get that done. I've got to fix that thing. I've got to heal this, repair this, and it can have the sensation of this has been going on a while and I've got to solve this problem because it's been going on for so long. And so the first thing you have to do is keep a sense of proportion around the Sun conjunct Chiron, because it may seem like your problems are worse than they are. Whatever those problems might be they health problems or relational problems or needing to get your life together, that can have a sensation of the Sun in Pisces and conjunct Chiron. But then there's the other part of that, which is the ability to use inconvenience, to use the any sense of frustration that you might feel, any sense of, wow, I've seen this problem happen a lot of times and I find it really irritating to have to keep dealing with it, as an opportunity to actually make some progress, as a possibility to actually do some things that are going to change things for you. So between overestimating or exaggerating how much of a difficulty you're facing versus using your sense of difficulty to actually motivate yourself, you need to find the right balancing place. And it might be worth, well, you could take this one of two ways. Relax a little, it's not all that bad, or hey, what you've got, what has been troubling you, it's time to move that along. It's time to make some decisions and to make progress. Along with that, speaking of progress, there's a whole bunch of planets in Aries, and planets in Aries tend to create a restless feeling. They tend to create a kind of impetuous sensation, a sensation of gotta do this now, and that is adding to the restlessness, and it might be wise to follow that instinct. The combination of planets are Mars, Uranus, Venus, and Eris, all combined in Aries. And Aries puts a fiery cast on everything, but three of these planets already have a fiery cast. That would be Mars, Uranus, and Venus. And then, Mars, Uranus, and Eris, another new discovery. And Venus takes on her own whole character in Aries. Venus in Aries is the most different Venus that there is. Venus is always Venus, but when you put Venus in Aries, that creates a special kind of a feeling. Go through your life and look for the women you know with Venus in Aries, and you'll see there's a certain young quality that they have, but also a certain fiery determination that you might find inspiring, you might find irritating, but when you're with this person, that's life, and you must meet them on their own level in many ways. I could talk about the moon phase. That is just past full. The moon is waning, but I could go on forever, and this is not Planet Waves FM, is the Planet Waves video podcast, and all my advisors say to keep it short. So I don't know if you're even watching at this point, but if you are, hey, stick a comment on the thing in YouTube or on Facebook, and happy to have your suggestions, except learn how to stare straight into the camera or somewhere near straight into the camera. This is going to take practice. I'm going to do my best. I'm doing it without lights, makeup, and wardrobe. I need to do this in my own simple, basic way, but all by way of hello, the Sun is conjunct Chiron. Should be an interesting day. Thanks for watching, and keep in touch.